Hey guys, Navonod on Nolan. Hold on. I was playing a match, 5 games against the player earlier on microstakes on Ignition, and he was really giving me a run for my money, so I thought it might be interesting to go back and do kind of a line check, or not a line check, but just check my lines, make sure everything was making sense. I think this was the first game, so there's no real history to report here. I think that was a kind of a scary card on the turn and improved my equity, and I think he could have folded a 7 or a 6, or could have set up for a triple barrel that maybe could get him to fold a weak king, so I think that line was fine. I remember this hand. This is kind of questionable, but I know a lot of players will c-bet this type of flop and then shut down, and I had 8, 9, 10 of hearts with 3 flush board, and really felt like if he checked back the turn, I could just kind of take the pot, and I had 3 to the straight flush. So yeah, I don't know if I really had enough info to try like an out of position float, but it worked. Yeah, I think this is a good hand to check back. We have a draw, so we've got a pair and a draw. We don't mind if he barrels the turn and we bink, so we can actually check back flop raise turn, which I think is a cool thing to splash into your. It's a cool thing to have access to. So if you can set up some of your ranges to do that, so that some of the time you'll be checking the flop back and then raising the turn for value if he leads the turn, that can go a long way to protecting your check back range when you're just checking back something like second pair on kind of a scary board, or like top pair weak kicker on a flop that's better for your opponent than it is for you, and second pair no kicker, and you're just kind of trying to get it to showdown. So yeah, that was so far so good. I don't remember exactly what I thought. I thought there was a couple pretty big mistakes in here that I made. This all looks okay so far. We'll have plenty of hands to defend on that flop, so we don't have to call with the king high. A lot of players at the micro stakes c-bet too often and don't, like they'll c-bet everything and then play very straightforward on 4th and 5th street, so mixing in some floats out of position isn't too bad. But we don't have to do it all the time. Like king high here, yeah, this seems to make sense, and if he bets again, we can probably just let it go, and if he checks back, we'll have an opportunity to bluff the river, or if we think like a 3, we can maybe just check it. Yeah, we've got 3 diamonds, we've got, okay, so this might be, he leads here. Okay, it looks good. That was just kind of unfortunate that we hit the jack and he led. That's not really anything I did wrong. I'm not folding top pair there. It's interesting that he called the flop with trips and then led the turn, but the turn did bring a lot of draws, and he probably felt like he had to kind of protect his hand. Not saying that's the right thought. One thing about this guy is he had real good timing when it comes to, like he was open folding against pocket kings and queens, and he open folded against the only time I picked up aces, and he was getting out of the way of all my big hands. Yeah, this is the first match, yeah. 6-3 suited versus the min raise I think is fine. Interested to see how I play this hand. I think if I was playing against him again, I would check raise this flop, but I think check calling is probably just as good in a vacuum. Now he's capped his range, so we can overbet and unless we run into an ace king or something that he checked back. I think we're going to get that through a lot. We should check and call. We do. I think we should shut down on the turn, so we should check, and if he bets, we should fold. Oh wait, we've got a gut shot in the inside. Whoa, whoa, whoa. 7, 8, 9, 10, jacks. Yeah, okay. 5, 6, 7, 9. We got a double gut shot with a pair. Yeah, of course. Okay, so then he bets. We check called flop, check raise turn, and he jammed, which just kind of sucks, right? Yeah, I think that's just really bad timing for us. We've got pair plus gut shot, double gut shot, and not getting quite the price we need to call. Yeah, that wasn't bad play. I think that was just bad luck. I think it makes total sense to check call flop, then we turn double gut shot, still have a pair, and raise the turn and fold to a jam. Seems okay. Yeah, actually I feel like I was playing pretty well. Yeah, I think we can bet here. Or not, you know, we can we don't always have to bet these paired boards, and if we're gonna give up on some of them, the 10-10x, and we don't have any of it, is probably as good as the next. But you know, this guy had been check raising me light or floating me, so yeah, I think we probably should just see that on that board. At least see bet the flop. Yep, so maybe I won this match. Or this game. I was kind of thinking I lost it, but no, I'm kind of not sure. I think we can call, we can raise. No, I think we have to just check and call. And now I think we have to check and fold. We missed everything. Yeah, if he checks back, we win, and if he bets, it's because he's got a 10 beat probably, so we can fold. And he's just, must have just been messing around. Yeah, on that Jack-10 hand with the King-Queen, we could have even led the turn. Like check called flop and then led the turn. Well, no, I guess that doesn't make no sense. Yeah, let's 3-bet this for sure. Okay. Oh, okay, right. Okay, so this might... Should we call here or should we get it in? If we call... Yeah, I guess it doesn't make much difference. We're not going to get away from this hand if he's got 2 pair. And if he's got a draw, shipping it's probably fine. Yeah, and he just got there. I mean, that's all, right? It's a big pot. And, yeah, okay. And then we staged a massive comeback and ran it back up for the W. Just watch. So here we're going to... C-bet planning on barreling a ton. We actually pick up a little piece of the board, we check it, and we just try to take our pair of 7s to showdown. That seems pretty good. We can 3-bet. I think ace-9, well, I know at this point in the game I was thinking I hadn't been C-betting like much at all, so I needed to start C-betting some hands. And I think, you know, when you're just not, like, you're picking up tons of hands out of position that are just really clear flat calls, and then, like, garbage, and you end up with an image that's, like, pretty tight for C-betting. The temptation for people is to start, like, C-bet or 3-bet bluffing, but you know, that's going to lead to having like a polarized 3-bet range, and I really don't think that's the answer. I mean, if your image is super tight and you have a C-bet, I'm sorry, if you have a 3-bet, like anything, I guess you could start polarizing. You could go a little bluff heavy and start just kind of seeing what happens and how your opponent reacts and responds. But out of position, just have to remember that you're going to get called more often than, I mean, you're going to get called pretty often. So, like, I would rather start splashing in hands like King 10 offsuit and like Ace 9 offsuit, Ace 8 suited, maybe even like Queen Jack suited, maybe King Jack, pocket 7s and stuff that maybe you would tend to flat call, but it still has some pretty good value when you get called, because again, you are going to get called when you're 3-betting out of position. The other thing you can do is you can polarize and just make big size, use big 3-bet sizings out of position and polarize. And it's not a, I wish I'd been paying attention to this hand. This might be kind of a weird line. In fact, I'm going to go back and check that, because I don't know if that made any sense. I mean, it got through, so it worked, but hey, I don't know how to rewind it. What's going on? Wow. I don't want to mess up my recording. Anyway, okay, so yeah, we definitely want to see bet this flop. Planning on barreling a lot of turns. I think this would be a bad turn to barrel, because we're probably checking back a pair of 7s on the flop. But once he checks again, we gotta bet that with. Well, we hit the 3. Yeah, but I think we need to turn that into a bluff. That was a mistake. I mean, I know what happened in game. I was just like, oh sweet, I caught a piece of it. I'm just gonna check back and try to win at showdown. But there's like nothing that I'm beating at showdown. And I think if I make a bet there, I rep top pair on the flop pretty well. Extremely well. I'm sure he would have folded his bottom pair on the flop. I mean, it's kind of weird to go after, like, just one specific pair. And he definitely wasn't folding trips. Yeah, I don't know. I wish I could rewind this thing. I'd look at that hand again, too. Let's see. So, we c-bet the flop with king high, 3 diamonds. We checked the turn back on second pair, paired the board. And then we hit bottom pair on the river. He checks and we checked back. And then he won with bottom pair on the flop, where we had a pair of 3s and a pair of 4s. I don't know. I would have liked to see me check raise this flop, and I think that would have ended matters. And knowing kind of how he plays, having a better idea of his style now. By the last game, I was peppering him with small check raises, and it was working very effective. It was you know, well, basically what we have is we have an opponent who's c-betting everything. I mean, he's checking back like once in a while just to give up with his air on boards that probably hit our range better than his, where he has no piece of flop. But most of the time he's c-betting all of his air. So yeah, I mean, you could say, you know, that means you can float more out of position, which is true. But it also means your check raises will get through more. So if we're going to check raise some of the time, we're going to float some of the time. I think we should be check raising a range that is bluffing, you know, because he's folding a lot. So we don't want to do it with anything that has any kind of real showdown value. But that once he does continue in the pot, that will have equity to like something like the nuts. So like a gut shot straight draw, for instance, would be the perfect hand to check raise against a player like this. I don't like my bet on the turn here. I checked the flop back and bet the turn and got bailed out on the river, but and I think that's a spot where my opponent's going to be pretty inelastic. He might find a fold if he's got a king if we go too big, but I think we need to go like make like a bit of an overbet maybe would be okay. Okay, this is another one of those spots where I think a lot of people will just like lead or check raise, and I think checking and calling is best. So we have to have some hands that check and call, that aren't going to just like check full turn, and that sometimes can check raise the turn, and a pair plus a draw is like a really good hand to do that with. Plus, if we just check raise the flop, is he really going to fold anything better than a pair of fives, and is he going to call with anything worse than a pair of fives? Probably not. So, are we bluffing? Are we value betting? Not really. So, you know, we're folding out his equity, but we're also giving ourselves a worse price to draw to our equity if we're behind. And I think it benefits our overall strategy to have some hands that will check call flop and occasionally check raise turn for value. This is another spot where I would love to have seen a check raise. I really don't think I know what I was thinking is that I've got the king high for showdown value, which, you know, I mean, yeah, it's true. So, like, if I check call and he gives up, I sometimes win the pot just by, like, taking my king to showdown. Yeah, I don't know. That's probably close. Just knowing this guy's tendencies and how often he folds to check raises, and probably more importantly in a situation where you've got something like ace high or king high with a nut flush draw. It's good to know that he, in 5 games that we played, and towards the end I was peppering him with these check raises on the flop, he never once 3-bet me on the flop. So if we pretty well know we're not going to get 3-bet, then yeah, I think check raising starts to look that much better. I think, like, maybe with ace high on a paired board, if I had like ace high with a nut flush draw checking and calling, might be better actually, because then, you know, if he bets the flop and just shuts down, then we can get our ace high to showdown on a paired board, check it, and probably he checks back and win the pot. Whereas king high, especially like a king with a low card kicker, maybe that's not quite as true. But it was on an ace high board, so I'm battling. Anyway. He got pretty aggressive. He ended up being pretty aggressive with his 3-bets, and we didn't really make any good strong adjustments against it. That's one thing I regret, and I think that king 3 of diamonds would have made a pretty good candidate for the first 4-bet of the match. He had pretty good time. He got a little bit lucky with his timing on his 3-bets, I feel, too. Because he was sticking on a lot of those 3-bets where, like, it was just really bad for me to get 3-bet, like king 6 offsuit. It's a terrible hand to open raise and face a 3-bet. King 3 suited, didn't feel too hot either. Yeah, I felt like I really made a lot of mistakes in this game, and I'm not seeing them. Here I think we could 4-bet and get it in, or we can just call the 3-bet. He's been pretty active, and I think with a hand like king and queen, most players are gonna like 4-bet get it in. But I don't know. I feel like this guy is just not gonna make any mistakes against. Like, if he 3-bets and we 4-bet for the first time in the entire match with king and queen, what is he going to do incorrectly? Like, is he just going to, like, go crazy and stack off queen jack? Or, you know, he's certainly not going to fold anything that dominates us. He's not going to just, like, lay down ace queen. And he's not going to stack anything we dominate. Like, I doubt maybe king jack suited, but maybe not, you know. So I think king and queen definitely can be a good hand to 4-bet and get it in with. But if you've gone the entire match without, there it is again, king 6 offsuit facing a 3-bet. But if you've gone the entire match and never having made a 4-bet, then king queen offsuit is kind of like probably not the ideal hand to do it with, because your opponent's just going to play perfect against you. Anytime your opponent's going to play perfectly against your 4-bet, you should probably consider not 4-betting, right? Especially in position, when we can just flat call, and there we are. Look at that, we really did catch up, right? So we got down to like, what, 450 or something, and stacked it back on up. So this is a longer match than I remembered. I've got lots of footage here, so I couldn't really remember or recall how much of this was the first game. But I don't want anybody to get bored to tears. I don't know if anyone's still watching. It would have been probably more interesting if I was finding a bunch of mistakes that, in the way that I assumed I was making a lot of mistakes. So let's just watch a couple more hands, and then I'll just spoil it for you and tell you what happens. I think we see bet that flop, and then we just give up, and then when the heart comes, and yeah, I think we could even over now. Yeah, that was it's a good call on the river. You made a good call. I don't think he should have called the flop, but this is interesting. What do you think you're going to get called by? Well, okay. I guess a 5 or a 4, maybe ace high. Nice bet. That's right, I remember this, and then I gave him the old... Yeah, there it is. That was a good bet. I'm pretty proud of myself. Yeah, and I think he did call me with ace high. I looked it up, and I think in-game I was sort of thinking, like, if I check, he's going to bet everything that beats me, and he's going to check back everything that I beat. So it's like free-rolling him, and I'm going to hate to check and fold, so if I make this small little bet, I can comfortably fold to a raise, and I might get called by worse. And I think that was a good plan, and he did call it with the ace high. So instead of critiquing my play, well, this is bad. Yeah, should have seen that coming. I'd done it to him a couple of times, or once. So here's like just some little tip. Here's a little tip for those of you who are still watching. This is your bonus tip of the day for hanging in there with me. When your opponent has been raising all of his buttons, like he's raising 90%, folding 10%, and then all of a sudden he just out of nowhere open limps, even if he will end up and eventually have a balanced range, he doesn't when he does it for the first time. Remember that, just like I didn't when I did it for the first time. I know the thought process that kind of goes on. Maybe you've had this thought. I know I have. I think I just did in game right there. Is like, okay, well, you know, I don't really want to raise with this hand, but I don't want to fold it. I'm getting 3-1 on a limp, and yeah, I can't, like, if he just starts raising, I can just start limping big hands. I know how to balance a range. So I limp, and then he raises, and I'm like, shit, well, I guess I've got to mix in some big hands. And that's how it happens for everybody all the time, because nobody is sitting there thinking like, okay, I've raised 19 hands in a row, and I just picked up aces, I should limp these. You know what I mean? Like, no one ever limps aces first. You know, at least at, like, small, like, NL20 and under, I have, like, never done it, you know, and I don't think I've ever seen it. Where, now, if like, the stack size has changed a lot, that's different. But, you know, if, like, let's say you've raised the last 10 out of 12 hands when it was your button, and then you pick up aces with 60 big blinds effective, are you just going to all at once decide to open limp them as part of a balanced limping strategy? No, that's not what motivates you to open a limping range. What usually is going to motivate somebody to wish they had a limping range is picking up a hand like 5-4 offsuit with like 45 bigs or something, right? Or like, you know, 7-3 suited. And then you'll just be like, oh, I really wish I could limp this, but, you know, he can beat me up. No, he can't, because I'll just balance my range. And then you limp your 7-3 suited, and sometimes it works, and sometimes you get raised, and when you get raised, you kind of have to curse yourself out. And this, you know, this is the tip, is that, yeah, even if your opponent is going to have a perfectly balanced limping range, when he decides to open a limping range, it is very rarely in the midst of action. It is very rarely because he picks up pocket aces, right? Now, if you're 3-betting him to smithereens, that's different. But, like, if just out of nowhere, it seems, he just decides to open limp his button for no apparent reason, often it's because he has a hand he doesn't want to fold, he doesn't want to raise with, and he's like, you know what, I'm just going to limp this, and then if he starts attacking me, no problem, I'll have a balanced range. But on that first limp, just attack it. And don't do this yourself. Don't just, like, decide randomly in the middle of, you know, some kind of heads-up game that you're going to open a limping range because you have a hand that wants to limp. I think we can c-bet this or check it back. Either is fine. Now that the spade comes, I think we're just going to want to, yeah, we're just going to want to try to get this to showdown, just check it back and hope that he doesn't have a pair. Oh, the hand where I felt like I just got owned happened and I didn't watch it. Damn it, this is hard. I remember it though. It was like a paired board. Yeah, damn it. I want to see that hand. This doesn't work. Hell. So here he is. He just decides out of nowhere to lamp. Guess what happens if we rip it? He folds. Kind of sucks that we had ace king there. So the hand where I feel like I got owned is there was a paired board. I had ace 6, and I think the board was paired 3s, and there was a flush draw out there. And I think it went check, back, call, and the turn went check, check, and the third club came on the turn. And on the river, I hit an ace, which actually gave me, it must have been 6-3-3 was the flop. It was 6-3-3 with 2 clubs, I think, was the flop. I had ace 6 and check called the flop. The turn went check, check on a club, and on the river, I binked an ace and decided to make a small value bet. I was like, value betting pretty thin and got like, I don't know, 175 into 400 or something like that, and he like ripped it in my face, so that sucked. Because it's kind of like, is he really doing this with 3 of a kind? Does he ever have 3 of a kind? Is he really, I mean, he reps only flushes, and it, you know, like, it just felt really gross, and that was, damn it, like, that was the reason I was making this video. I'm going to try to figure out how to do this. I can't rewind. Let's see what happens. No, I just can't do it. I don't know how. I'm sure there's a way, but I don't know how to do it. I just went through the hand, and I don't know. Look, guys, now that you're watching the video, go back and look at that part. And just go back a few hands and watch the, I end up with aces up on the river. I bet, he moves in, I fold. Tell me what you think about that hand. And I think I'm just going to shut this down. Or I'll tell you what, I'm going to let this run, and so that way you can see who actually won and how it played out. But definitely no, wow, we're at the end. I'm sure this is like, the blinds are 25-50. If I move in and call and, I mean, if I move in and get called and win, then still we're going to be at 30 blinds effective, and they'll be moving up to 50-100. So yeah, this can't go on long. Alright, so unless I win, which did not happen. So yeah, I guess that's gonna do it, guys. Until next time, Navonod over and out.